Everyone, and welcome to the Prose Perfect podcast, where we talk about author things for authors by authors. And we are meeting with the Gretchen Powell-Fox today.
Like the Gretchen
The.
Powell-Fox. I'm freaking out.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm freaking out.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Losing it, actually.
You're so.
I'm
just
like
a girl.
avoiding fangirling.
I know, it's so hard. I'm like no.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. No, this is gonna be fun. I've been really looking forward to getting to chat with you.
So I guess, tell us a little bit about your author journey so far.
Yeah. Well, as you so kindly said, yes, I'm Gretchen. My book that maybe folks may have heard of is called Smoke and Scar. It's the first book in the Shattered Crown trilogy, and I am I self-published the first two books in the series, and I was recently picked up. The books got picked up by a traditional publisher, so now I'm known as what's called a hybrid author. So I have like a foot in kind of both worlds of indie publishing, and I'm learning very quickly all the things that have to do with the more traditional publishing industries. My writing journey is kind of long and storied. This is actually not the first series that I published. I published for the very first time back in 2012. I published a YA dystopian book called Terra, and this was really kind of at the onset of self-publishing. Like KDP had kind of just become a thing. It was a very exciting time, and then I was pretty still am, but at the time I was also still very chronically online. But it looked very different back then because social media was just lifting off at that time, and so I was actually very heavily involved in like the blogging world. And so when I self-published my first book, it did actually do relatively well. But I ended up kind of taking an unintended hiatus after I published that and didn't write or publish for almost or over a decade actually. And lots of factors went into that. Turns out I have ADHD, got a new job, got married, had kids, like all of those things. But then when I finally felt like I was back in a space to, pick up the pen again, the proverbial pen as it were, I finished the second book to Terra, which was a duology, and then I set out and I wrote Smoke and Scar. So it's kind of been like a winding path, but obviously like the growth and the explosiveness has all been tied to my fantasy series. So that's a very roundabout way of explaining my past.
But samesies. I first started the whole writing when KDP was just becoming a thing, and I didn't fully publish my book, but I didn't start writing until I had 3 kids. Well, I was pregnant with my third. Also ADHD, and I'm like, yeah. So
then you totally get it. That's amazing. Yeah, a lot of parallels. Yeah, I think that I've learned a lot about myself and about how I work and about how to best chase my passions and not like let things fizzle out, which is I think kind of what tends to happen if you don't like lean into things, at least for me, with the way that my brain kind of wraps around things. And so because of that, I decided that I was gonna, jump back into wanting to write. And I mean, I've always been a huge lover of storytelling and reading and all this stuff, but it's so easy to let life just kind of, fill in all of the cracks that you would normally be putting into your story or your writing or whatever the case, if that's what you want to do. So yeah, and then I mean, ever since I really set out with Smoke and Scar, things have just been like, so yeah.
That's usually how it goes. I
like yeah.
I didn't know you did YA dystopian. I had a phase, I still am in the phase, where like Shatter Me and the Match trilogy and like all of those are like my entire personality. And now I'm gonna have to be adding your duology to my
awesome. Yeah, it's called the Terrestrials duology. I actually republished it as a completed set, so so now it's like Terrestrials, and it's both books in one, and it is very much in line with like if you are a Divergent, Hunger Games, Lunar Chronicles, Shatter Me, like all of those types of books from like those early 2010s. You can really, I feel like, feel the vibes of when I wrote the first book, even though I completed the duology more recently. Like it's very, it's upper YA for sure, but it's like in that vein.
That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Is it spicy or is it closed door?
It's like there's some very mild like fade to black stuff in the second
Okay.
half. So
My
yeah.
I eat
my
that shit.
12-year-old is a huge fan of yours, because she
Oh,
read Smoke and Scar
oh my,
without me realizing it, I guess. Um, but she was like, "Mommy, you're talking to that author, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Okay." And then she came back. She was like, "Tell her I love her." I'm like, "You read it?" She's a huge bookworm. She's like, "I
oh,
listened to
that's
it." I'm like,
amazing.
"Don't listen to the second one, please."
It's probably okay.
Yeah.
The second one,
It's the
not
second
so
one you look
much.
out for.
I also have a 12-year-old niece who has read the first one, and she has been like begging her mom and me to let her read the second one. We're like, no, like sorry, kid.
I'm like, give me 2 more years and then we'll talk.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yes,
I have it on my TBR. She's ready. Once I finish the Game Changer series, that's what I'm reading. I'm
yes.
very excited.
Yes, well, I take my slow burn very, very seriously. So there is no spice in book one, but it pays off in book two. So
I believe it. I believe it.
I've had them on my TBR for so long, and I read them towards the end of the year. And my husband was reading a book at the same time that I started Smoke and Scar, and then he was like getting towards the end of his book, and he was like, "Oh, how's your book going?" I'm like, "I'm on the second one. I'm almost done with it." And he's like, "Okay."
once you know get gripped, I think once things kick into gear, it's hard to tear away. I do hear that, and it's always very touching because I was like, yeah, it's kind of how it felt like writing it. Like I feel like that's what happens to me with writing a lot. Actually, is I find it hardest in the beginning, to you know lay out all of the foundation and things feel like a little bit slow going, but once things kick into gear, like it's like there's a exponential uptick in how quickly I get through the rest of the manuscript because I'm also in it, like living in the exciting stuff that happens toward the end of like every fantasy book, right? Like the last like 100
Yeah.
pages or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, and there's so much left to resolve at the end too. Ooh,
It's got to be that way.
it stresses me out. Like,
You want to know what stressed me out? The ending of Splintered Kingdom. It's
Yeah,
I love you,
don't say
but it stressed me out.
anything. I haven't.
we
I'm
won't
not. I'm
spoil
not saying anything
anything.
other than it stressed me out.
I've read part of the first one. Like I texted you because I was like, your world building is insane. I hate world building. It is so boring and
Oh,
it's just I hate it. I was like very heavily invested in your world building and I was like, oh, I'm not bored. I don't want to put
that's
this down, but I
amazing.
have to because I have school.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I was like,
Oh
I
my
was
gosh. Well,
very
thank you
excited.
very much.
There were many nights I
Definitely.
stayed up. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. I was just gonna say I definitely like tried to figure out that balance of it's high fantasy, right? Second world fantasy. Like there's a lot of different magical races in this world, and there's this whole like war and like these political tensions and stuff that kind of informs going into the book. But I wanted to make sure that like as much as possible I wasn't info dumping all of that stuff, like right at the beginning, and was trying to weave things in very organically so that you kind of get to learn things as you're reading. And I do get, thankfully I do hear that people find it at least digestible enough. Because
You
it can
did
be a
it.
common thing with like really high fantasy stuff where you're like, wait, what's happening? And you have to kind of, like revert back to the glossary a few times or whatever. And my goal was
Right.
to not make people do that.
You did it very, very well.
Thank
I
you.
struggle with that. I'm like, I'm a history teacher by trade, so I'm like, here, have all of my history facts. I love them, and I'm like, no, stop it, Katie.
Rein it
That's
in.
so funny.
Make them want it.
Yes.
That's so
Um.
funny.
Okay. So, I love that we're yapping, but let's try to
Yeah,
ask a few questions.
totally.
um. So, you're very widely known as not just an author, but as an author who markets like extremely well. And you had your day job in marketing, correct?
Yes. So my professional background is in community and content marketing. So uh, outside of writing, I worked for like tech companies and I did marketing for them up until quite recently. So I am officially a full-time author now, but that was a very, very recent change.
Yes.
And so yeah, thank you very much. I do a lot of online marketing, obviously, for the series. I I really like being like on social media and interacting with readers and stuff like that. And I have been very fortunate that things have really helped boost, recognizability of the book and stuff like that because of it for sure.
I love it. I enjoy your posts. I have like three different accounts because of just like my the nature of everything I do that is has to be on social media because I'm an author, and then I run prose, so I have the
Yeah.
prose Instagram, and then I have my personal Instagram where I get to just be like feral about books. So I feel like I've like commented on your stuff like in all of my accounts, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm not a creeper.
Yeah, mad respect for the fact that you maintain three accounts because like my personal Instagram has been abandoned now, like for like a full year. I just like never go on there anymore. And I don't, I think a lot about, because I have a lot of like ideas and works in progress and stuff that are like in different genres, and I think a lot about like whether or not I would want to like spin up a whole separate pen name for certain, if I was going to write in a very different genre or whatever. And if I did do that, like would I want to start like a whole separate social media presence in order to promote those books, or would I just kind of like have still maintain, like I'm still thinking about what that would look like because I'm not sure that I have like the mental energy to be able to reliably make sure that I'm posting and promoting on separate accounts. So I mad respect.
I would not if it were not for the fact that I have Kenna to help with prose, and then I have my PA for my author stuff. Otherwise, I would just be on my phone like 24/7, like, and I have four kids, so I can't like just stay glued to my phone at all times.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm always saying that like because I do get asked not infrequently if for like marketing advice, or like people will like ask me for how do you blah blah blah, and I'm like, I'm just online a lot, man. Like I don't know if I can like recommend this, and
chronicling online nowadays.
it is you just like pick up like it's really difficult to be able to jump on trends or like be able to kind of like know the lingo and stuff like that if you're not in it yourself. And I'm not saying that you have to be, obviously, but just in terms of like, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I have to spend a lot of time like brainstorming stuff to post because it does just kind of like come naturally as I'm engaging and browsing online. But that being said, like I do spend a lot of time doing that. So, like there's always going to be trade-offs. And when it came to finishing the manuscript for book 3, which I literally finished 1 week ago, on a deadline, I had to like cut myself off. Like that was like it was such a time suck because I could always be spending more time on social media, if not actively posting myself, like drafting stuff, recording stuff, engaging with other people, answering DMs. Like I think it could literally be 20 hours a day easily, all day long,
Yes.
just with the amount of stuff you could be doing online at any time, right? So you really do have to pick and choose. And I ended up having to kind of have a self-imposed, I called it like my posting and ghosting like month, where I would still post because I really was not wanting to like drop off the face of the earth entirely, but like I wasn't able to, I had to be really strict with myself about not being in my DMs and not like responding to every comment and stuff like that, which is really hard for me not to do because I like it, so but I did finish the manuscript on time, so there's your trade-off, right?
There you go.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Kenna, it is
I
your
love
turn.
social media. I love social media. I don't know what I would do without it. I like to joke that my job for pros and for a couple other people that I work with, my job is just scroll on Instagram and TikTok all day.
Yeah.
Which is obviously not the case, but it's one of my favorite things. But through scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, I was introduced to this lovely hockey show called Heated Rivalry.
Of
Here's
course.
Here's my question.
Okay.
Would you write a sports romance? Because I would read it.
I want to say my answer is never say never. However, I will say I watched Heated Rivalry. It was like my treat for myself after I finished the manuscript. Literally the first thing that I did after I like sent the manuscript off to my editor, I was like, and press play.
That's who we're going to.
So exactly. So I loved it. I will say that I have read no sports romances myself prior to this, so I don't feel like I'm personally equipped to tackle that. But never say never, because obviously, like, Heated Rivalry has kicked off many a hyperfixation for a lot of people. And I do have a lot of contemporary ideas, and I have like a contemporary work in progress and stuff like that. It's just not sports related because I'm not a sports girly. Normally, I'm obviously a Heated Rivalry girly.
Yeah, that's not a sport. It doesn't count.
Yeah. Like, my sport is books, so.
Yeah, competitive book.
Yeah, exactly. My sport is book, so.
Competitive book. I like that. That's funny. I'm writing that down. Competitive book. My sport.
Okay. My book club is actually doing Heated Rivalry for our like Galentine's Day, but I don't actually get to go.
Oh.
I'm gonna be in Paris, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good
Never mind.
excuse.
You can
Yes.
spend Paris or Valentine's
That's a
Day in
much
Paris.
better
That's fine,
alternative.
yes. It's the
Your
same
version of
day.
going to the cottage.
Yeah.
I get to go with my best friend, and I told my husband he was replaced as my Valentine this year because I'm gonna be in Paris on Valentine's Day with my best friend, and
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, you're replaced this year. You didn't ask in time.
Yeah. You didn't. Look, man, the asking
Snooze,
for
you lose,
Valentine's Day
dude.
is January 1st, okay? That is the day you ask, lock it in.
Yeah, there's no last minuting Valentine's Day these days,
No,
I
you
feel like.
can't.
You can't do that.
If there's always looking for stuff for their male characters to do, ask her to be your Valentine day one of the new year. Lock that in.
I like
baby.
it. I
You
like
gotta
it.
Lock it in. Gotta lock it in. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so can you describe your writing process from like idea to completion?
Yeah, so I will say that I can't guarantee it's going to be the same always, right? Because I feel like with every idea and every project and every book, things change a little bit. But speaking specifically for what my process has been like for the fantasy trilogy that I wrote, I am a really intense, actually, plotter. So I had the entire trilogy plotted out before I started writing book one. And I did all of my world building ahead of time, essentially. So I like, before I'd even conceived of the idea of the main characters or what exactly was going to be happening, I really focused on wanting to build out a world that I felt like was, encompassed all of the elements that I was looking for in the kind of fantasy that I wanted to write and read. And so, the different magical races that are involved, the war that kind of informs this set of trials that happens in the first book, the powers, the magic system, and everything like that. I like built myself a little wiki, basically, with all of these things and like dates and aging charts and like all sorts of crazy stuff. And I will say it was not like this when I wrote my first two books. Like, definitely that was more like discovery writing, kind of figuring things out as I went. But I was just like concerned with potentially writing myself into a corner if I approached the trilogy this way, because there are so many fantastical elements. I didn't want to have to rely on like, oh, but it's okay because magic, or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I put a lot of forethought into the world building and stuff ahead of time, and then did the plot points, like the overarching stuff for the series, very loosely. It wasn't like very intensely plotted like for all three books, but I knew what I wanted to happen in the first book, the second book, and the third book, how I wanted things to wrap up. And then from there, you kind of like take, okay, book one, and that's why I was able to very confidently feel like this was going to be a trilogy and wasn't going to expand or condense as I was writing the story, because I kind of felt pretty strongly about what was going to happen within the confines of each book and stuff like that. So everybody's super different. I will also say that obviously that outline changes immensely once I actually start the drafting process. Characters have chemistry that you don't expect them to, or they just have like some really quippy dialogue, and all of a sudden they're like suggesting that they go do something. You're like, I didn't really plan for that, but like, let's roll with it, and stuff like that. And so that detailed outline becomes a little bit obsolete about 50-60% of the way into each of these books, because things just change, and ultimately you have to make the decision about, am I going to try and like force them back onto the path that I had prescribed for them, or am I going to roll with it? And usually I feel like you find more exciting things happen if you tend to lean into the latter. I mean, for me, when I say you, I mean, obviously I'm just talking about myself, but yeah, so I think that it tends to be a little bit more I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Like I'm like a little bit more intense about my plotting for my fantasy stuff, but I definitely always leave plenty of room for things to happen, characters to pop up, decisions to change, like, oh, I definitely thought I was going to kill this character, but like just kidding, like maybe
This one instead.
yeah, this one instead, like that'll be way more heartbreaking, like, like that sort of thing. So
Yes.
Evil.
Mama. Yeah, I need to take notes because I am a reformed pantser. My first book, I just like started writing. And when I took a 10-year break between what I started with and then what I finished with, and I'm like, what? Why did I do this to myself? So I'm trying. I'm trying really hard, but the ADHD in me likes to be like, oh, this is a good idea. Let's write that down. Oh, that's a good idea. Let's write that down. And
yeah, and there's
I have, like,
absolutely
sticky
nothing wrong
notes
with that.
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, I actually love talking about craft with with other writers because I genuinely think I've never talked to anybody who has the exact same process or like the exact same mindset when it comes to their stories and their books and stuff like that. And even the inspiration that you hear from people about what inspired their book, because that's a pretty common question that writers will get. It's like, what inspired this? And some people will be like, oh, I had a dream, and like it was like this one very very like visceral, like vivid scene that ended up in the book, and like I built an entire book around that. And then others will be like, I was inspired by blah blah blah, and others will just say, you know what, I just really wanted to write an epic high romantic fantasy series. I just like wanted to do that for myself because I love reading it so much. And I mean, that was kind of me. Like I am a very voracious reader, and I love fantasy, romantasy, and I just really wanted to write one of my own, and that's why I was like, let me start with the world, and like the story kind of came out of having built this whole thing out.
I did recently invest into like a Notion template for world
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
I feel like it's too late for Beguiled. Like I'm like, it is too late for this. I already have book 3 like mostly drafted, so I'm like, we're done. It's too late. But I have another project that I've been working on because I like to put off editing by writing new first drafts.
That's when she
Yeah.
gives it to me.
Yes.
Then it's my thing to deal with, not hers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's wonderful. It's a great.
Well, that's another thing that you'll hear a lot of writers talk about, right? Is the like, do you prefer drafting or editing, or like what stage in the process is your favorite kind of thing, And nobody ever has the same answer. I feel like either.
It's
I
so
hate
funny because
editing.
I was brought on to prose as an editor, because that's what I'm in school for. And then now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write my first book. But like writing a book as someone who does specifically line editing, who does the grammar and the sentence structure,
It's really hard. I know. I'm actually a
it's
notorious
so
edit
hard.
as I
It's
goer.
bad. And
Yeah.
I shouldn't be, because then I'm just gonna get stuck on this one part and then I can't
Yeah.
move on.
And but it's so common because that's why you'll hear writers say that they have rewritten their first chapter, 20,000 times or whatever. And I do fall into that trap a lot because I also I just really love writing. Like I love the written word. I love words and word choices and syntax and like word flow and stuff. And so I can absolutely get stuck on like a line. I'm like, that doesn't sound quite right. Just like rewriting this one line over and over again. And I'm like, Gretchen, there's still 75% of this book that you have to write.
The rest of it.
Yeah. And so I got actually it's called the Freewrite Alpha, and it's basically just like a glorified digital keyboard. And I got it because I kept doing this thing where, if I have the whole doc available to me, I would go back, go back and reread it and then get stuck in it again. And this way it does force me to just because the maximum you can technically go back and read what you've written, but it's like a pain in the ass. It's
It's a
really hard to edit the stuff that
awful.
you've written.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's like terrible.
That's why I need it.
On purpose, right? It's terrible on purpose to make you just keep going. And so that I only recently did that, but it was a big part of finishing this book 3 manuscript because also I was able to work you know, at soccer practice and like on a plane, like very
Yes.
easily to just kind of like keep getting words out to
You
try
don't
and
need
like
Wi-Fi
progress the
for it,
story.
You don't need none of that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it
I
worked
am
out really well in that respect.
I am saving up for a free write. I have been saving up for one since my 20th birthday.
The normal ones are very expensive. I got like the basic model,
I
which is
don't
still
need
kind of
anything big.
pricey, but it was, for me it was worth it for sure.
I
And like
really
even
enjoy
now,
it.
yeah.
I think it'll get me to actually finish my first draft.
That's kind of how I felt like
Hopefully.
I just needed to I needed to push. And there are also alternatives to free write the brand or whatever.
Right.
That's just kind
Yeah.
of like the big one or whatever. So
Yeah. I love
One
it.
thing that I use that like motivates me to write is this keyboard
Oh.
because it makes like the clickety clackety noise. and it's very
yes, I'm
satisfying
also
for
a
me.
big fan of like a clickety
Yes.
clackety keyboard.
I'm like-
Clickety-clackety keyboard.
I love a mechanical keyboard like
It makes
yes,
me very,
exactly.
yeah. I don't know what it is, but it makes me very happy.
Next to my iPad, she's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, exactly.
I never thought about that. I just got an iPad, so I'm like
I love
learning to use it.
Oh, it's wonderful. You're gonna love it.
I hate being chained to my desk. So
Yeah.
I want to like one time my husband brought my entire desk and my desktop into the living room and put it in front of the couch for me because I was like, I want to do something productive, but I just want to sit on the couch. And he was like, okay, here.
What a good husband. You know, sometimes we just need like a little change of scenery or whatever too.
Yeah.
Like it can feel monotonous to like sit down at your desk every single day and you know like do it. And that's something I'm trying to discover for myself now that I'm like officially doing full-time author stuff is like, you know, how do I maintain my productivity when I'm not, you know, like in some ways. Yeah, well, like a deadline promoting or like when I still had my 9 to 5, like I only have X, you know, time to get stuff done, right? It would be
Yeah.
like after the kids go down, so I would like have, and so you really have to like maximize that thing because you don't really have another choice. And now I'm like, well, I could just putz around on social media easily for 10 hours a day, but like that wouldn't be very conducive to like the goals that I have for other stuff and like, you know, let alone when I start to get edits back for this book and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all a discovery, and every day I think is going to look a little bit different, which is cool, but can be hard to feel like, you know, the formula of what's gonna like crank things out for you or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you said that you are now considered a hybrid author, right? So that means you're publishing indie, but you're also publishing trad. I've only published indie. I work with a lot of indie authors. I love it. I love my trad authors though, like the big wigs. They're incredible people. They're talented. They're insanely talented. But I'm curious, which type of publishing do you prefer? Do you prefer indie? Do you prefer trad? And I want to know why, because
Yeah.
I'm nosy.
No, it's a great question. I feel like it's probably too early for me to be able to really answer this yet because I'm still just kind of like at the beginning of the process with trad. You know, after the first book is re-releasing in April and the second book is re-releasing in August, but those are really only just kind of undergoing like a copy editing round, and then I'm working with the publisher for like tweaks to the cover and, you know, like writing new acknowledgments and like it's bonus content and stuff like that. So book 3 is really my like is gonna be my full trad experience or whatever, where like I'm gonna get like notes back from my editor and, you know, figure out like how to incorporate that or not. I don't know what she's gonna say. Like, what happens when, you know, she gives a note and I'm like, I disagree with that, or, you know, like all of that stuff is stuff that I'm gonna be experiencing for the first time.
Yeah.
I will say that I really love indie publishing. I really am such a huge proponent of the democratization that like indie publishing has provided, and the way that it like breaks down a lot of the barriers that people face when trying to get published. And I never queried, like I never went down the traditional publishing path originally, like back in 2012 I never did, and with this book I never even considered it, just because I do have kind of a like I can do it myself like mindset, and because I do like engaging and like forming community, and I was pretty confident like based off of just like my own experience in content and community and the bookish space and stuff like that, that like my readers were out there. And like I didn't know how long it would maybe take to find them, but I was confident about that. And, you know, I know that like it's not for everybody, because it is where it's the definition of wearing many hats, right? You indie publish and you are everything from start to finish. And even stuff that you do, you know, get outside help on, like hiring an editor or like, you know, outsourcing stuff, it's still the mental load of like figuring out who to hire or like, you know, like finding information about how to do stuff. And so because of that, like I definitely still understand why it can feel like a lift off of your shoulders to be able to rely on a publisher to like help facilitate all of those steps for you. And then the trade-off, of course, like literally like for every like pro on one side, there's like a pro on the other side that can like bounce back and forth, right? Yeah. So I don't envision ever abandoning indie publishing, like even if I were to be able to sell another book to my publisher or another publisher or anything like that. The freedom of knowing that I can write anything that I want and, you know, get it out there and work with the artists that I personally love working with, and, you know, like all of that stuff, like it is a really nice, like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I just don't ever envision abandoning that completely. And also that's partially because, like I mentioned before, I do have, you know, other projects and other book concepts that are in vastly different genres, and I don't know if I would want to, you know, put books on submission that are, you know, maybe just like, I want to write like a really like vibey, super fun, like crazy, spicy, dark romance or something like that. And like, I think that that would be fun to just self-publish, you know?
She's on the show.
Yeah. Or like, you know, whatever, if I want to dip my toe into like the Omegaverse or something like that. Like I just like the freedom that comes with knowing that I can write anything that I'm interested in. And then also, you know, like hopefully continue to get to build relationships within the industry. Obviously the biggest benefit for a trad deal is distribution for the print book. So like the concept, like I'm just gonna fall apart, I think, the first time I walk into like any Barnes and Noble that I don't have an existing relationship with and like see my book just like there or whatever, you know, like because I have been lucky enough that the book has been popular enough as an indie that a lot of bookstores have purchased it, but it's like it's always up to the individual store owner or the individual manager if they've heard about it and then if they choose to stock it, right? Versus when you're trad pubbed, you have, you know, people who work at the publishers who have relationships with the head buyer at Barnes and Noble or whatever, and then they are like, okay, we're going to buy X number of copies and disseminate it to like whatever percentage of stores, like that sort of thing happens. So, you know, ultimately there's still just, for as much as I think that the gap is closing in terms of like the cool things that you can do as an indie author now, like I'm sorry, I'm like talking so much, but like
here too. This is you, not us.
The cool thing about having self-published back in 2012 is I feel like I have a really accurate understanding of how far indie publishing has come, right? Because when I first published, it was just KDP and Create Space, which was like their like print on demand partner for Amazon, which and you could only do Lightning Source. It was called something like that. Yeah. And then you could only do paperbacks, you know, it was very limited in terms of like what you could get printed, all of that stuff. Now you can do, you know, I mean, dust jacketed hardcovers with art underneath. You can do color formatting. They even have ways for like doing like a fake sprayed edge, you know, as an indie author. Like there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do that makes it so. I have mixed feelings sometimes when people say this, but like I hear a lot that people are like, I had no idea it was indie, or like, you know, it seems like a trad book or whatever. And I'm like, I understand where they're coming from because like I did put a lot of work and effort into making sure it was as polished as possible. And I took advantage of, you know, making sure that it matched, you know, genre market expectations and stuff like that as much as I could. But yeah, like that kind of stuff didn't exist 12 years ago, right? Like that ability to like, you know, I don't even think that like matte covers existed when I first published. Like it was only gloss, you know, like stuff like that. So because of that, I think that it's just really cool to be able to see what people are able to do. And people will tell you that indie publishing is really expensive and that it's prohibitive because it's really expensive. And I can understand also where they're coming from. I feel pretty strongly that like you don't have to spend a lot of money to indie publish. Like you can do it for literally like no money at all. It just all depends on like what your own time and energy is worth, really. So like everything from designing your own cover to, you know, editing and like all of that stuff, like technically you could learn how to do that. You could find people to trade with. Like, you know, like there are ways to do it, but
oh, they're so fun.
yeah, but of course, like you always have to weigh.
Decent book cover.
Yeah, exactly, and like you just always have to weigh like what that is gonna work best for you. But I do, you know, I think that you could easily spend tens of thousands of dollars independently publishing, and you could also spend like $700, like, or you know, or less, you know. So, for all of the things, it just really depends. But that like range and that freedom, and the fact that it's not hinging on individual people, like, you know, in order to get your manuscript read by an agent, you have to have like really great luck and timing that it's not being opened by them on like a day when they've had a bad day, or they didn't just bring on a new author who wrote something similar in genre, and like they can't, you know, like try and sell like two identical books like at the same time. And like there's just so many things that are out of your control, and I really like being in control as an indie, and that is one of the main reasons that I think I'll always want to have my foot in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Wow, I
We
just
love
talked a
to have you
lot.
in the indie community. We love you.
Yeah.
You're always welcome with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and that even like, I mean, I could talk about this forever because like there's just like so much freedom in being a creative as a self-published author, right? Because there's nobody telling you like, here's a good example. In my book, it's written in third person limited POV, his and hers. So it is written in third person, but there are specific chapters in the book where it flips to first person present tense, like just very specific chapters where I do it, and I do it for like emphasis. They're very important things that are happening, and in my head I kind of see it as like you zooming in to the head of the POV person. And I don't know that they would have said this, but it's just like that, you don't see that very often. So like there's every chance that in this manuscript, if I had gone a traditional route, an agent or an editor at a publishing house would have been like, I think you need to switch blank, you know, I don't think that like this is jarring or like whatever. And I was like, I really want to do this, and I think it's very effective. And yeah, so that's just like an example of like a risky thing that like it's not like I needed anybody's permission to do that, I just wanted to do it, so I did it, you know. Like that sort of thing. And that is like a really cool thing about being an indie author.
I will say, even as an editor, like when I was reading your books, I didn't realize that you had done that until just now. It was like a little blip in my mind. I'm like, oh, this chapter is different, but I don't know why. And then I was just like so into it that I kept going. And then you said that, I was like, that was the blip.
That was, yes.
Done right, it is incredibly effective, and it ties it all together so nicely. But I feel like there are some things that so many authors try to do, and this is not a diss on authors, because it is very difficult to do what we do. And you like we're making a whole world just for fun. I feel like sometimes it can get kind of like lost, you know, in all of that, and it just isn't executed very well. It's not executed very smoothly, and like from what I'm hearing, the way that you have transitioned, from that third person limited to that first person present is done incredibly well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's pretty smooth. I think that I do hear often that people are like, oh, I didn't even actually like really realize that's what was happening. And like the whole chapter's like in italics or whatever. So like you can probably just be like, oh, it's like, you know, whatever. But of course they're happening at these really pivotal moments too. So like in the first book, it's like something like really crazy is happening with like the MMC. And then in the second book, it's like a very intimate thing that's happening. So, you know, being able to provide that additional perspective, and it was just so much fun for me as a writer too, like to get to do that. And I feel like it really attached me more to what was happening within the plot, and I like to think that readers can usually tell like when an author is really like emotionally like into the story and stuff like that, because those things carry through, right? So like there's a phrase or whatever, and it's like, when we cry, like when we cry, they cry, or like it's like something along those lines or whatever. And it was talking about how like, yeah, I cried over like character deaths in my books. Like, of course I did. Like, I'm also very attached to them. So, that kind of thing.
I love it. I love
I
it.
was writing one chapter of my book, and my husband just came in, and I had like tears like streaming down my face. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just, you know, destroying my soul a little bit."
Yep. I like to
um,
say, and I posted something recently and I was like, don't let anyone ever tell you, but like authors hurt themselves first. Like, because I
yes,
get yelled at
yes,
not a small amount in my
I think you
DMs
gotta carry that
over.
death yourself, not know. You're like, no one else knows this person died, and you're like, I feel like I'm living a lie. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
everything's fine. You're telling them it's fine, and you're like, no, it's
Yeah. Exactly. It's not fine, but it's fine, but it's not fine.
not. It has to be fine for social media.
Exactly. Exactly. No
Until you get
spoilers.
there, it's fine. That's funny.
um, okay. So, how do you decide where to focus your energy when there are so many platforms that are like competing for attention?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like just kind of based on my own personal like social media usages, it was always going to be that I spent the most energy and time on Instagram because that's just like where I spend all of my time anyway. I'm like a true millennial, and like that's what I do. Um and I found a lot of success in like the community building aspect of being on Instagram. I do a lot of character art, so it's a very natural kind of like thing to be able to, post about on the gram and stuff like that. And then because TikTok and Book Talk is so powerful, like I really recognize very quickly the impact that Book Talk can have on actual like conversion to page reads and to books purchased and stuff like that. And so my
Yes.
main focuses are really on Instagram and TikTok for those reasons. I view Instagram as more of like the ability to engage with my current readers, to like build my like brand for the books as a presence on there. And
Yeah.
then TikTok I view a little bit more as like an advertising platform, but not like to run ads on, but just like the likelihood of someone running across your stuff on TikTok who's never seen it before is higher than I feel like on Instagram, which does primarily still serve a lot to my followers and stuff like that. So I focus a lot on those. I also, like I said, my day jobs in the past have been really heavy on community building, and so it was really
Mhm.
important for me to try and like have just as many places where people could engage with each other as possible. And so I have a Discord. I also have like a Patreon where I can share like NSFW art and like other additional sneak peeks and stuff like that. So I do try to diversify, to make sure that like whatever a little bit of the like meet people where they are type thing, so that like I don't expect people to engage with me on every single platform, but like I want to be able to provide value and have a presence in different ways. And then conventional wisdom will always say that like any platform that you can own yourself entirely is going to be like something really great to invest your time into. So like building your own website and having a newsletter list, is usually what they're talking about with that. I haven't spent like a ton of time focusing on that, but it's something that grows over time. I have bonus content that people, when they get to the end of the book on Kindle, or whatever, they can just like sign up for my newsletter and they get bonus chapters and stuff like that. And it's also a nice way to just kind of, we all saw what happened with TikTok a year ago or whatever. Like if social media platforms were to go away, do you still have a way of connecting with your readers? That sort of thing. And so I think that that's something good for people to keep in mind. It is all a lot. Obviously, I didn't like on day one, like, do all of these things all at once. It was kind of like
Yeah.
a slow build over time. I did start primarily on Instagram, and I did like add in additional things over time. And I think you can see that because Instagram is where I have like my largest following and my most active, reader base and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I love it.
I think my favorite is Threads.
I
Yes.
love
Um,
threads. Oh,
because I kind of treat it like just an unhinged journal about my writing
Yes.
process.
I feel like threads is the
Um,
2026 Tumblr. You know what I mean?
Yes. I
yeah,
think
that makes
that
sense.
I wasn't
threads
around for
also,
Tumblr,
I
but I am around for threads, and it feels what I like the tales of old that I have heard about Tumblr is what threads feels like.
tales of
You know
old.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think that that's also
You're
a good
welcome.
thing to
I
keep
got
in
you.
mind too, because I am present on threads and I do appreciate the fact that like it doesn't feel like I think there's still a little bit of that hangover on Instagram about like not over posting or like making sure that like things feel like a little bit more curated, you know, and stuff like that. And on Threads, like, you can just post as much as you want because, like, it's just literally like a thought, you know, and it's like Twitter used to be or whatever. So,
God, I miss old Twitter.
yeah, right. So there's like pros and cons to each platform, like different purposes, I think, for each platform and different ways of engaging. I like live threaded while I was watching Heated Rivalry, for example. Like, that has nothing to do with my. It's just a lot of like me crashing out. Yeah, it's a crash out show. like that kind of thing.
Please, if we can get Rachel on here.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Imagine. Oh my god, I'd be insufferable. I'd be so annoying. No, I love Threads. I genuinely, like, when I was marketing my first book, or I think it was my first book, it's just like me. Like, I'm 20. I have a terrible caffeine addiction. I'm barely passing school right now, so it's like, yeah, let's let her have a Threads. Let's let her market her own book. That's a great idea. Like, it works, you know?
You know, I think that people are looking for that authenticity, though, with everybody that they engage with these days. It's different, right? It's so different. You want to talk about things that are like different in the publishing world. Like, people care who the people who are writing their books are now. And like that. Yeah, which is amazing. And like, as a personality hire, like, for my whole life, like, I'm like, this is great. I'm like, this is wonderful. Like, yeah, please, like, jump on the Gretchen train. But I can also understand how that's really frustrating for people who, like, genuinely, like, for many decades, like, writing was the perfect medium for people who didn't want to have to show themselves, or, like, you know, who were very private, or, you know, who, like, really hated the thought of, like, engaging with other people. And, you know, like, the calculation has just changed, right? So
yeah,
I feel like so many authors are like modern celebrities now. Like, I mean, Emily Henry with her books coming out as like movies, like on Netflix. Same thing with Rebecca Yarros. Same thing with Anna Huang, with Chloe Gong. Like, it's insane. They're like true celebrities now. I mean, Heated Rivalry has gained so much traction in the show that the books are sold out continuously across the world, not just the United States, but the entire world. It's so crazy to me to think that because of a social media platform, people are reading, people are wanting to be writers, they're wanting to join this craft and this community. And I'm like, and I owe this to a freaking like 15-second video? What do you want about, dude? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you owe it to TikTok. I'm like, this is crazy.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah.
A funny, like, little aside. I met Rebecca Yarros before Iron and Flame came out. But awesome. I lived in Colorado Springs, which is where she lives, before we moved to Hawaii. And I went to a book signing with my book club. And I was like, oh yeah, fun book club outing. I hadn't read Fourth Wing, and I also hadn't read the book of the other author that was going to be there. But I was like, friends, yay, let's go. So I went, and I bought a copy of Fourth Wing because I knew it was like incredibly hard to find at that point. So I was like, oh, here's a copy. I'm going to go buy it because I'm going to read it eventually. I'm probably going to enjoy it. So I got it. And then I met her, and she signed my book. And I was like, yeah, this is nice, you know, I'm enjoying this. And then I read the books, and I was like, I did not fangirl nearly hard enough for me.
You're like, I didn't know what I was getting.
I feel like I didn't appreciate it enough.
That's so funny.
I go, like, events like that, I try to make sure all the authors, like, feel like fangirls. You know, like, we do an event. I'm from San Antonio.
Super.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're nice. You're a lovely person. You're so lovely.
Yes.
You're a great person.
And I was like, yay, thank you. I love this. But then I was like...
And then you read it, and you're like, damn.
Yes, exactly.
You're like, this.
I was like, oh my gosh.
She's done it again. I love the dragon.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
If you're ever wanting to come to San Antonio for whatever reason, we do an event called Library Palooza, where we get a bunch of, like I got to meet Trey Maffey at this event.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool. She's lovely. A delightful human being. But it's a great way. They're mostly trad. But since you're going trad.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of events on the docket for this year. And I know that, like, a lot of authors feel probably mixed feelings about like events and stuff like that, but I love it because, you know, like I am a people person still, and it can be really isolating, like being kind of like hunched over your computer all the time. So it's been really cool getting to connect with more and more authors. I like sometimes I'll like body double with them, like on Zoom or whatever, like we'll just, you know, both be working, and it's kind of like having a coworker or whatever. So yeah, it's really cool and helps keep me focused because obviously it's very easy for me to go down like distracting side quests all the time. So
I love that.
What's the next event you're going to, if you're allowed to say? Like, I don't know if you have to.
Yeah, no. So, in about a month, I'll be at Love Y'all Book Fest in Atlanta, and then in March, I will be at the Dreamers and Readers Festival in Dallas. And those are the next two. Yeah, so I was gonna say, I know San Antonio and Dallas aren't exactly.
I might be seeing you in Dallas, baby girl.
But you should come hang out if you feel like making the trip.
Because to your people will get the day.
yeah. So that's gonna be in March.
I'm gonna meet you on my home turf.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the two next big events, and then I have a couple more cons that are like toward the end of the year as well. So it should be a good year.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
I keep forgetting who asked the last question. I'm gonna edit this out.
You're good.
You can edit me eating my popsicle out too, because
that's fine.
Total aside, not related. I went to Plato's Closet because they were having a Lululemon drop, and I like Lululemon, but I don't like Lululemon prices. I spent $65 and I'm starving. So I'm like, there's cheese right next to me, and I'm like trying so hard to not eat it because it's unprofessional, but it's cheese. I love cheese.
Who doesn't?
So, my second semester of college, I took a creative writing class. And our first assignment was to make a why sheet and to hang it above our laptop or wherever we were working to make sure we can, like, visualize why we're doing this. Because I feel like a lot of times with authors, it's very easy to forget why you're doing this, especially for indie, why you're doing this if there's so much work being put in when you're getting so little back sometimes, right? Especially when you first start out. So a lot of my whys are like family and like, you know, like events that I've had to deal with in my own life. But what is your why? Why writing? Why not anything else?
Yeah.
Not to go deep or anything, but
yeah, I was gonna say that, but that is deep. But I understand it because I'm sure everyone, you know, everybody has different reasonings for wanting to tell stories and stuff. And I think for me, it was just a very natural segue from being a devourer of stories, you know, growing up, wanting to be able to create in a way that feels so natural to me. Like I said before, I'm just like, I love words. I love written language. I love books. I love stories. And so initially, you know, like before I had my kids and stuff like that, when I published my first book, it was really just, I wanted to be able to tell stories of my own. And I wanted to learn how to make people feel the things that I feel when reading books, and how precious a gift to be able to, you know, have that happen. And then, of course, as I've gotten older and had kids of my own and realized just like the different things happening in my life and stuff like that, I mean, all of it informs the writing and the way that we experience life, and being able to now kind of also add in this legacy that I feel like I'm able to create with the books, you know, because we write a book and we publish it and it exists now in perpetuity, like forever, right? Yeah. It's part of the fabric that, you know, makes up literature, and like how cool is it to be a part of that in whatever way, shape, or form, and no matter how small or how big a part, you know? And so it like brings me endless joy, and like I get choked up a lot thinking about like how like proud my daughter is. Like she talks to her teachers about like her mom like writing a book, and she like, I pulled like homework out of her backpack one day, and it said, it was like she's 8, so you know, like it was like an all about me kind of thing, and it was all about how much she loves to read and how she specifically loves to read fantasy. And it was like, why? One of the prompts was like, why for her? And she was like, I think it has something to do with the fact that my mom is a writer and she writes fantasy books, and she went on this whole thing, and I was just like sobbing, like reading this homework assignment, like, you know, and so they've absolutely become, you know, at the forefront of why I do anything. But I think it just no matter what the medium, whether or not it was through my job, through, yeah, like engaging with folks on social media, through when I was blogging every day, when I'm writing, you know, novels, I just think that I've always wanted to be able to tell stories, craft characters, translate things that I think are pretty cool inside my brain into ways that other people can ingest them. And I have been fortunate enough to be able to do that semi-successfully thus far. So I hope I continue getting the chance to.
I
love it.
Stunning. Your daughter sounds adorable.
Yes.
she's a lot. I love her very much.
I have one of those too. I have so I have 4. My oldest is 14, and my youngest is almost 4.
Ooh.
And my youngest is spicier than all 3 of them put together.
That's how it always is. I'm also a baby of my family, so I feel like I can attest to that youngest child syndrome.
I'm just kind of crazy by nature, though.
But my son, I don't have any siblings.
I don't know.
Yeah, my husband has 2 siblings, and then I had none. And I was so bored growing up because I didn't have any friends that really lived near me. I didn't have any siblings. I just, you know, sat in my room by myself all the time. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have... Actually, I didn't want kids. I did not want children. And then I found out... I think I even told someone when I was like 7 weeks pregnant with my oldest that I wasn't having children. And then, surprise.
Surprise!
But after that, I was like, well, I didn't have siblings growing up, so I would like her to have a sibling. And then that turned into 4 children. It's the newborn smell that gets you.
It gets you.
Yes.
Adopted nieces and nephews, that's my fill. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch you for the day, I'll babysit you, I don't care. The minute your mom is here, out.
Best of both worlds there.
A little bit of time. They are something else entirely.
Right. I think we have time for like one more question.
Yeah.
And then we will do, I have 2 computers and I was using the mouse for my other computer instead of the one for my computer I'm trying to
Don't
scroll
you
on.
hate when that happens? I don't know where my mouse is.
All good. Well, I was like, what's a mouse?
The creature, actually.
Yeah.
The real, like the hamster looking thing, she's using that to run her computer. Yeah. Yes.
That's so funny that you described it as a hamster-looking thing, because that's also how I literally just earlier today was trying to explain to my daughter. I said something about a mouse, like, in the garage, and she was like, a mouse? I was like, mice are cute. Like, I don't think there's actually one in there, but they're just like a hamster with a tail. Like, you know that, right? She was like freaking out about it. I was like,
well, some rats are cute, but most
rats can be cute.
Rats can be cute.
Fancy rats are cute.
Yes.
Regular
But
feral, like New York rat, I'm like, absolutely not. Stay away.
Yeah, pizza rat, like, no thanks.
I love pizza rat. Pizza rat is the exception. Pizza rat needs to be famous. Get pizza rat.
Pizza rat is famous. Pizza rat is part of the cultural zeitgeist.
Get pizza rat on the red carpet. Get him at the Grammys. You know, I don't even know if this rat's still around.
I was gonna say, I feel like this rat has long since left this earth
died.
by now, but, you know, his legacy lives on.
Yeah. In the memes, in our hearts.
Exactly.
I love it.
That's so funny.
Oh my god. Sorry.
No, nothing to
I'm here for
apologize for.
All right. If you were launching your first book today, what would you do differently based on everything you know now?
What a great question. So, yeah, obviously things are really different because of the existence of Book Talk, Bookstagram, the bookish social media space, like we've been discussing. I think that it really can't be overstated, like how impactful readers are. And so basically, I think that I would probably say, as, you know, of course, writing the book that you're most passionate about and the story that you're proud of and everything that goes into like creating like a really polished professional product, as a self-published author is always going to be like my number one like thing where you should focus your energy and stuff. But when you're thinking about like past the publishing point, and marketing it and finding your readership and like the most effective thing, I think that it really is like it's hard for a lot of people, but like getting your platform built on social, getting to build relationships with other readers, and not in the self-promotional way either, like making genuine connections with other people in the bookish space, talking about the books that you love, getting to connect, because there's so many people and you all have something in common. You all love reading, you all love stories, you all have like favorite books in common and favorite authors in common and stuff, and it's such a natural place to be able to form friendships, and then like being able to hopefully have people who will then be genuinely interested in reading your book when it's ready to come out. Like that progression, I think, sets people up for just a maximum amount of success when it comes to launching their book in today's day and age. So I guess I would say that like, and it's never in a way that should never be in a way that feels like disingenuous to who you are. If you're someone who really struggles to like connect with people through the internet, like don't try and force it, obviously there's different levels and different ways that people can approach. But for me, I have always, since my blogging days, been a big proponent of like the internet being basically like this big meeting place, where you can find other people that you just naturally really connect with, and who will end up inevitably becoming your biggest champions. And in that kind of same vein, I would say that like from more of a like marketing, like what can I do, kind of perspective, like really focusing on finding ARC readers is going to be like the biggest thing that you can do as a self-published author. And I was very lucky that the two kind of combined for me when I was talking about the writing process, and as I was talking about my book online and then putting my ARC form out there. I had some success with a few Threads posts going like relatively big and getting people interested, and then word of mouth spreads and stuff. So for Smoke and Scar, I had a pretty robust, at the time for me, art campaign, and that is where your early champions are going to come out of. And there's nothing that an author can say about their own book that is going to like have more impact than a reader telling other readers about your book. Right? Like I can talk about my book until I'm blue in the face, but like having someone who is yelling about your book and how much they love it because it's not coming from the person who created it is always going to like be more effective, right? So so I think those two things hand in hand. Like don't be afraid to engage on social media, and it doesn't always just have to be about your book all the time. Like you can form connections because there's just really cool people that you can meet online that you would have met otherwise. And also, like focus on finding as many early readers as possible to, get people excited about the story and the world that you've created.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
I know when I had like my first, so I released Beguiled, and then under a different pen name, and then I got a cease and desist on my pen name, which I was very upset about because I had built a decent release.
Too. Oh.
Because someone else had the same pen name? Is that why?
She was jealous. She was jealous that I came up before her.
No, she came out before me.
No, but when you searched it, your name came up first.
Oh, yeah. So I had done a Stuff Your Kindle event, and then I put and obviously I got to number one in the free books list, which I was very excited about. But it was free, but I was still excited.
Of course.
And then 2 days later, I got an email with a cease and desist on the pen name I was using. And it felt like, I don't know, I was upset. So I had to re-release Beguiled. And then I got return ARC readers. And then I did Enchanted, which is a novella, and I once again got return ARC readers. And I was just like, you like it so much that you actually want to, keep reading it?
Yeah.
And then I got my first comment. It was like, how did I miss this release? I'm going to buy it right now. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you. Which I'm nowhere near as big as you. I have 1,200 followers on Instagram. But for me, that was just yes, I have made it.
Yeah, I mean, it's those comments that really make the biggest difference. And I don't think you'll find any author, even at Rebecca Yaros's level, I'm sure, who would say that, the people who tell her that this book changed their life, or that it's their favorite book, or, those kinds of comments, I was floored, and I continue to be floored and flabbergasted when people tell me
Yes,
stuff like that, because the idea that like the
exactly.
we pour our hearts and souls into our writing and
Mhm.
into our books, and like the idea that like they're being received in that way is, I don't think it will ever stop being mind-blowing, you know?
Yeah, because like the book started, like my first book for sure started as a way to like not to get dark, but it started as a way to save my life. Like I had no lifelines at that point. I was a junior in high school, nothing going for me, shitty boyfriends, and so I was just writing and writing and writing because I had nothing else to do that was going for me. And my old English professor from 8th grade, he's the one who encouraged me to publish, and he's just phenomenal. And I actually got a DM the other day from someone um that I don't know. I don't know who this person is. Um, they were like, "Hey, like what you went through was horrible, and I am so sorry, but your writing gave me some hope. It gave me a light." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna break down in the middle of the target, actually. Thank you."
Yep. Yeah.
Like I live for that stuff because it's something that
Yeah.
saved me. It's something that has saved countless other people that I know, like writers that I know. And it's just still so bizarre to think that like my pastime, my hobby is something that people are like reading and rereading and rereading and just using as their lifeline too. That's just so surreal to me to think that, it's so bizarre.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't get old. It's
No.
really incredible, to have our writing and our art or whatever, like touch other people like that, and fostering connection, through that
Mhm.
medium, because that's what everything's really all about, is like finding ways to connect with others, even if it's not like, connecting like that, like,
Yeah.
through the written word, or through the stories that they're telling. So that's wonderful.
Yeah. Not to be
Um,
sappy or anything, but
right, right. I know I said that was the last question, but I have kind of like a fun little quick question that's going to
Yeah.
end it on a kind of a funnier note.
it's all
Do
right.
you read your reviews?
Oh,
I don't anymore.
but you did.
I did.
Okay.
It's like really hard not to. We're all human.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
is, I think, especially, we'll see. It'll be hard to. I think it's hardest when the book is new. The longer you go from like the publishing date, the easier it is to ignore reviews, right? Because like you stop
Yeah.
like caring quite so much about like whether or not people like it. Um, and I will say that obviously like that is part of the double-edged sword of, your book
Yes.
picking up in popularity, is that it's going to hit people who are not your target demographic. It's going to, like, people go in with certain expectations because they've heard a lot of really positive praise about, certain things or whatever, and it doesn't meet their expectations, etc. I'm very lucky that like reception to my books has been, predominantly very positive. And I don't recommend to any author that they read their reviews, just because it's so personal, right? It's so
Yes.
like, it feels like somebody telling you that you suck if they didn't like your book. And obviously that's not the case,
That's
but
not
like it
true.
feels that personal, right? Because we've put pieces of ourselves into our work.
Yeah.
And so, but that, I say that, but it's like really hard to stay away. I liken it to like, there's this scene in, I don't know if either of you have watched The Good Place, the TV
Uh,
show.
yes,
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's like one of my
love
favorite
it.
TV shows, and there's this thing in like one of the like third season or something like that, where one of the characters is put to this test where she has to walk down this long hallway, and every single door in this hallway has people that she knows from real life, and she knows that they're talking about her. And so her challenge is to get to the end of the hallway without going into any of these rooms. And then like
Yes.
the pairings get increasingly like more and more
Yep.
tempting as she
Yes.
goes. And I liken that to like trying to stay off Goodreads or whatever as an author, because like that they're talking about you, and like it's
Yes.
just human nature to want to know what they're saying, but
Yes.
even the most beautiful 5-star amazing review will like fall to the ittiest bittiest part of your mind the instant you see criticism about your work. And
Yes.
it's there's also this very like famous funny comic by the Oatmeal that talks about like you can literally have 10,000 glowing positive reviews, and your brain will only latch on to the single negative one that it reads.
Yes.
And so, yeah, because of that, I never, ever, ever encourage anyone to go look at their reviews. I don't like think it's good. I have a PA now who will like go sort through reviews to like pull out review snippets and stuff for me to use for promo and marketing, and for when I'm like feeling imposter syndrome and stuff, to like send me some nice things. But yeah, I'm officially, and my opinion of this has changed over the past year, but I am definitely in the camp now of like, don't tag authors in any review, like, even if it is glowing, because there could be a line in there that's just like, I did think like it was slow a little bit at this point or whatever. And like, that's all she's going to be able to, remember from this otherwise glowing review, is that single line of like, not even really, like, people are allowed to think what they think, and reading is subjective, and like, no one is saying don't post it. It's just like, don't like turn my notification on to like make me read your criticism kind of thing, is how I feel now.
Yeah, I try not to read my reviews.
How does that go?
I try not to even look at my rating anymore, because now I know if it goes down, I got like a smaller number review, and I will be in my feelings for days.
Yeah. It's really hard not to
like,
internalize
I gave
that.
this people a little piece of my soul, and they gave it 2 stars.
Yeah.
How dare you? Why'd you give it 2 stars? It's mine.
Which I love it. I fully support readers having their opinions, because I know my book is not going to be for everyone. And then when I'm feeling bad about my low reviews, I go and read the low reviews of my favorite authors, and I'm like, okay, this is fit. Yeah, if they get these reviews, then it's fair that I get these reviews. So
yeah, like 1000%. There are 1-star reviews for the most beloved books in history.
Yes.
And there are plentiful 1-star reviews for, like The Hunger Games and Fourth Wing and like Pride and Prejudice has 1-star reviews. Yeah.
I think of Hunger Games a 1-star review. Hunger Games shaped a generation.
Yeah, it did, absolutely. But there are 1-star reviews for it. So like that thinking is very helpful, I think. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for like out of sight, out of mind too, and like it gets easier the more you do it. So like the more I stay off of my Goodreads or whatever, like the easier it has become. But it was really hard. You feel like a little bit like you're like an addict, like
yes.
You need to know what people are saying. But Veronica Roth, who wrote Divergent, actually wrote a Substack or something recently, and the title of it was "Do I Like It?" And it was essentially like, because of the thinning barriers between authors and readers, and how vocal readers will be to authors about their opinions on their story and stuff like that, it can be very difficult to block out the noise and remember how the most important thing as you're writing is to determine if you like it. Like, do you like the story that you've written? Like, is this what you want it to be as the writer? And I think it's like, I need to like write that on something and like stick it to the top of my computer, because it can be really
right.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Y board or whatever, but like just a reminder that it's literally impossible to please 100% of people 100% of the time. There's not a single piece of art out there that is so universally beloved that there's somebody who doesn't like it, doesn't not like it or whatever.
Yeah.
So just remembering who it is you're writing for, knowing, and feeling confident that like there are people who will get it, even if, other people don't, and that you can't control things. Like, someone who might love my book could be having a really shitty week. Their boyfriend just broke up with them, or they failed a test or whatever, and they were in the middle of my book, and so it like really colored the way that they felt about it. Or there's just so many things that you have no idea that are going on in people's lives, and that's why I'm such a like, of course I'm never gonna say like, reader, don't rate my book a certain way, or like you need to do X or whatever. Like, of course not. Just I think that it gets hard to block out the noise as an author, and so we have to maintain our boundaries, and we have to help enforce the line that still should exist in whatever way, shape, or form between our readership and ourselves.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us today and being on the podcast. Even though we're very baby podcasts, we really appreciate it.
Of course. I was so excited to get to chat with you too. And yeah, I hope that there's some nuggets in there that people will find useful as they're, considering publishing or writing or just, interested in learning a little bit more about my journey or whatever the case is.
Yeah. And if you're a new
Absolutely,
author and
yes.
you're out there and you don't know where to start when it comes to your publishing journey, we got you at Pros. That's what we're here for. That's why we're doing this podcast, and that's why we have the platforms that we have so that we can help make your journey a little bit easier.
Yes.
You gotta
Because
do
I know
something.
I
I'm
was a
sorry.
hot mess when I started.
Don't
And then
apologize. I love it. Awesome.
Yay.
all right, I'm gonna stop recording really quick,
Grab
and then I get to edit.
my
Yay.
cheese.
Okay, it's stopping.